I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm like 90% sure we already have AGI. Like, we passed the Turing test. We have models that can think and reason and plan. We have models that can do math with a neural network. It's not like these things are a calculator. It's a neural network doing math, actual reasoning. And if you put more compute behind it, it does better and more math. So there's real depth to these models as we scale up. The pre-training of GPT 4.5, you can notice real depth, real nuance, almost like real understanding in these models. They almost have like a functional awareness of the context of their environment and their surroundings. So there is depth to these models now. And we have the ability for them to speak. We have the ability for them to hear. We have the ability for them to see things. We also actually have the ability for these things to touch now and notice when they're in contact with other objects. The only two things missing is really taste and smelling, which honestly, people are already working on these things, which is kind of crazy. And I guess you could say metacognition is also something that they're missing, which is basically the ability to have an adaptive world model that is adapting on the fly, live in real time in their environment, which for a majority of tasks, you don't actually need that, especially if you look at the memory bank of these models. The memory on these models is getting longer and longer, which is almost in some uninteresting way an adaptive understanding of at least the nuance of their previous experiences, right? It's not like the parameters and stuff are changing, but it does have the ability to retrieve out of that memory bank and use the world model that it has developed from its training runs to then make actions within the physical world. So it's safe to say we are approaching very soon models that can automate everything from like a mid-managerial level downwards. Maybe not like the CEO or like a senior executive or something like that. Those things do kind of take like an adaptive, real live world model. Those things are safe for a little bit until we have like a new architecture that can have really good meta learning, which it's hard to tell how far close that'll be. But for now, I mean, these things are going to be quite capable at pretty much anything from mid-managerial and lower. Very capable, actually. So one of the more interesting things that came out recently that actually made me say, okay, where are we right now? I think we have AGI is whenever Google put out their video with their new robotics and how the robots are actually using a large language model and then using the context of the language and identifying things within the physical world, given that context and interacting with it. Even if it's never seen those things around it ever before. It's going to completely novel environments and interacting with those things in a completely intuitive way, which wasn't exactly obvious it would be playing out just like that. I figured it was possible, but it seemed a little bit more challenging, to say the least. So here's a clip of this, and halfway through the clip, I'm going to point out something that was pretty impressive to me, at least.
This same model can generalize to tasks like this one that it's never been trained to do.
Pick up the basketball and slam dunk it.
Keep in mind, these are objects the robot has never seen before. But by leveraging Gemini 2.0's understanding of concepts like basketball and slam dunks, the robot figures out the task.
What do you see on the table?
I see some colorful letter tiles on the table.
Now could you spell me something that could be found in a deck of cards?
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right here. Can you answer her question? Within those letters, spell something relating to a deck of cards. At first glance, it wasn't very obvious. It wasn't like something I could immediately react and just do it right then. Like if I looked around and I thought about a deck of cards and I look at the letters, I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this, right? Watch how fast this robot does it.
Okay, how about the word ace? I can slide the tiles to spell it out.
I don't know about you. Considering the fact that we have passed the Turing test, we have general purpose robotics where they're going to novel environments and doing things that you just saw. And these things are now reasoning. We have pretty much every single sense besides tasting and smelling. I mean, there's not many things left to check off. Like, this is AGI. It's going to be deployed very rapidly starting very soon. We still have billions of dollars being poured into data centers and expanding data centers so that we can actually have these general purpose robotics go out and automate large sections of the economy starting this year. This is something that's not a hypothetical anymore. We already have real evidence of like figure robotics actually having robots in the actual workforce. And with the breakthroughs that we're having in robotics, these systems don't actually have to consume a gargantuan amount of data to actually learn anymore. If you look at the figure robotics breakthrough of their AI model, they had a very small amount of data in that model, and it was still able to generalize outside of distribution and interact within a completely novel environment with objects it's never seen before. That means these things are now capable of learning much faster, almost at human speeds. And now all they have to do is like every month ship a new update of the model, and it'll just be like updating in real time, almost, not actually real time, but if they ship a update of the model monthly, I mean, you don't need much more than that to automate like 80% of jobs. You really just don't. Like the only thing that'll be left at that point is, like we discussed, CEOs and like executives and people who are making decisions, identifying high points of leverage in the marketplace and pulling those levers, and all of the people that are doing like one-dimensional tasks, like actually physically doing the work, those won't be needed, right? So it's hard to tell like when we'll have metacognition, when these things will have like an adaptive on-the-fly world model. I'm honestly willing to bet that's going to be a lot harder than many people are expecting. We might even figure out that like it's barely feasible, if feasible at all. We might figure out to have an extremely robust system, an extremely robust and safe autonomous robot. You might not want that to happen at all. Maybe we figure out that's not even something we want to include ever. Maybe we'll get to there eventually if we have something that is extremely robust. I don't think we're close to that, actually. And this is why I mentioned on previous videos, the best skills for us to build right now isn't doing any specific task. The best skills for us to build is having the ability to identify high points of leverage in the marketplace, have a very good world model, mental models for you to view certain opportunity vehicles within the world, and having a distilled, simplistic frame that gives you high leverage whenever looking through it, whenever looking at the world and the opportunities that lay in front of you through this particular frame or this algorithm, if you would rather use that word. That is the only skill that really matters right now, not learning any specific task that you're directly doing, but more so having understanding of a plethora of things, and then having the ability to simplify your frame, simplify your point of view of the world into a very, like a few leverage points. If you look at Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, it's not that you should be doing what they're saying, because they do have a world model that was like their neural networks haven't really adjusted since a long time ago. But the principles that they use to arrive at the conclusions that they arrive at are timeless. And if you can learn the principled way of thinking that they have, applying that to today is going to be just as effective. So that's what really matters right now, not learning any individual skills, but more so adapting at this macro scale. We're going to this place where we all have these AI agents that are very, very capable at doing direct tasks, and we're basically going to be the person that has the metacognition, the person that has the live adapting world model with what the next opportunities will be. And we will apply our adaptive live world model and deploy the AI agents to do anything from a mid-managerial level and downwards. And at that point, I mean, just like Sam Altman said, by 2027, we're going to have one-person billion-dollar companies, and whoever identifies those leverage points and has the best world model is basically just going to win. That being said, I hope you see where we're at right now, because that's really one of the most important things. We have robots that can see, touch, hear, interact with the environment. They can grasp nuance and depth and context. The AI agents on the computer are coming very soon. You've heard me say many times in the past, I think software engineering is basically going to be a solved problem towards the end of this year. These models are actually becoming good at planning. I've personally planned with these models, the software applications I plan on developing, and they actually have good understandings of systems architecture and engineering, like building an entire platform with microservices and having Docker containers to hold everything separately so that you can deploy them onto different stacks and it'll operate just like it usually would. Like, I don't even know how to create these things, but this thing is guiding me through it, and I'm just kind of leaning into the technology and clicking next after it shows me what to do. So this stuff is coming real quick. Very soon it'll be much more autonomous and much more reliable. For now, it doesn't have any metacognition, and it's not clear when it will have metacognition. We might even find out that for the foreseeable future, we don't want it to have metacognition. We don't know how it's going to play out yet. But nonetheless, we are entering some interesting times. It's time to start moving. It's time to start gathering resources. And I think if you looked at my previous videos, I talk about what resources I think will be valuable. And there's 5 resources: community, intelligence, labor, energy, and materials. If you are investing within these 5 areas of leverage, within these 5 categories, if you're building within there, you're going to be good for the foreseeable future. Because that's like, these are the pillars of civilization itself. From the very first principles, all you need is community, intelligence, labor, materials, and energy to build civilization. If you have those resources, there's going to be somebody in the world who thinks that your resources are valuable, and you're going to be in a higher position on the status hierarchy. That being said, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you found it valuable. If you have any questions, you can join my community below, linked in the description, and you can ask me one-on-one. We have community calls all the time where we talk about this stuff in depth so that we can position ourselves for the future. We have engineers, entrepreneurs, and just normal people who are trying to adapt and leverage this technology to really maximize their position in the future, make sure we get the best biotechnology, make sure that we get the best compute and AI for ourselves so that we can enjoy a beautiful future. If that's you, go ahead, join, link in the description below.